What's going on, everyone? How are we all doing? The first weekend of the Premier League season has been and gone. We are on the horizon of the second one in the coming days, and I thought I may as well let you guys know my Premier League predictions for the week ahead. I've seen quite a few other people do this, but obviously I want to do it myself. We'll have a look at the end of the season as well, a little recap video to see how close I was. It's only going to be around 20 to 30 seconds of a recap per team, so it's a relatively quick video, so let's get started. Starting in 20th, they are in last place. That's where I think they're going to finish. It is Cardiff. They are one of the teams that was promoted from the Championship last season. And why do I think they're going to finish there? I just don't think that they have invested enough money. Neil Warnock always does great to get his teams up into the Premiership. Whether or not he can actually keep them in the Premiership is another question. I don't think they've backed him enough. I know they've signed Harry Arter from Bournemouth, which is a good player. He has good Premiership experience. But overall, I just do not think they have enough in their team to stay up. Next up, the team I think is going to finish in 19th is actually Brighton. They got promoted last season and they did a good job at staying in the Prem. Chris Hughton has done a very good job at the club overall to keep them where they are. They've made a couple of decent signings. They signed Martin Montoya from Valencia, and I believe they have also signed Bernardo from Red Bull Leipzig. If you've seen my Leipzig career playthroughs, you'll know quite a lot about him. A very good player. Overall though, I just don't think they're going to be strong enough again, as with Cardiff, to survive this year. 18th place may come as a bit of a shock if you've seen the first round of games from the weekend. They won 2-0, I believe Pereira scored 2, and of course we are talking about Watford. Why do I have them down there? I just feel like something isn't going to work towards the end of the season. They lost Marco Silva, he went out the club. They lost Richarlison, which I thought was a good deal because they got 50 million, which is a crazy amount. But I just don't think that something's going to go right there throughout the season. A lot of these teams in this area are going to be very close, but for some reason, I think Watford may drop down. 17th place, we have Huddersfield. Like I said, all of these teams possibly could go down, and Huddersfield are also one of those teams. They signed Diakby from Monaco. They also signed Mbenza. A couple of decent signings and additions for the team. But overall, again, I just don't really know if they have enough to stay in the team. David Wagner, I think, has done a fantastic job there. I just think that they may be a little bit short. I have got them in 17th, so technically I do have them staying up. But any of these teams could go up or just go down. Following this, I have Southampton, and bear with me just a second. I'm looking at a list of players and bits and bobs that I kind of made for this video. They signed Danny Ings, they signed El Yunusi, they signed Angus Gunn. However, they did lose Dusan Tadic, which for me was a little bit of a weird one because I thought he was doing a decent job there. He's always been really good for them. He left to go to Ajax, which was very confusing because the other year Liverpool were in for him. I don't know what went on there. I think they're good enough to stay up. Mark Hughes has done a good job overall in general there, so I've got them in 6th. Following on from this, we have Newcastle United. Yes, 15th place. The team who are supposedly a big team, but it just never really happens. Rafa Benitez, what a manager. I rate him so highly. I couldn't really rate him any higher. A very good manager, but they didn't put the money in. There was a statement come out from the owners, Rafa Benitez and Lascelles, saying that the lack of investment was okay, that it wasn't really much of a problem, but I think it could be a problem. You need to buy players to develop. They brought a couple of players in, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They're going to struggle, and the real question is, will Benitez be there at the end of the year? We've got Burnley in 13th, and this all depends on one factor. Will they make it in Europe? They're going through their qualifiers at the moment. I believe they dispatched of Aberdeen. I think they have a couple more rounds before they are through. If they get through and they go into the Europa League, I think they're going to struggle. They haven't really brought that many players in, 1 or 2 defenders, and that's it. They're very good defensively, but I don't think it's going to be enough. If they don't get through and they get knocked out before, anything can happen. I think they could go on a very good run in the league again, but it's all dependent on that for me. The next team is one of the teams that got promoted from the Championship last season, or this season just gone, and it is Fulham. Them and Wolves, between them, have spent around, I think, 150 million, which is kind of crazy to think that for teams that have just come up into the Premiership. But they've recruited, I think they've recruited in the right way. They've got Mitrovic in, that is Premiership experience. Schürrle as well, he has experience. And also, for the fate of the fans, they kept Ryan Sessegnon. Very important. A youngster, kind of the heart of the club. The fact that he stayed on shows great faith in the fans, the club, and the manager. In 11th, I have Crystal Palace. They were really down in the dumps last year. Roy Hodgson came in from the England job where people doubted him, and he rescued them. They got up into a decent position. They've kept hold of Wilfried Zaha. I have no idea how they've done that, but they have. They also brought in Max Meyer. He was a free agent. No one really took a risk on him because of his massive wages. Crystal Palace did, and we will be able to see if that pays off. In terms of everything else, they have a solid team, a solid foundation to move forward. 11th might be a bit high, might be a bit low. We could see anything from this Palace team this year. In 10th, we have got Wolves, or I could possibly say the Portugal national team. They have more national team players in Wolves than there is actually in the Porto team over in Portugal, which kind of seems a bit silly. They've brought a lot of players in, João Moutinho being one of them, I think is a great bit of deal. I think also Rui Patricio, after all that palaver over at Sporting Lisbon, he is in too. And also one more player before I forget, Adama Traore. He's going for around 18 to 20 million. He made over double the successful dribbles of any other player last year in the Championship. Can he make it in the Prem? Only time will tell. In 9th, I have got Leicester. It's been a weird one for them. They obviously lost Mahrez to Manchester City for 60 million. It's a very big fee, and they have brought other players in. Kaglos Sionku was one of those. He was linked to Arsenal earlier on in the market. They were bringing in quite a few defenders, which made you think Harry Maguire might be on the way out. Manchester United were interested. It didn't happen in the end, so they managed to keep hold of him after a great World Cup. So it's definitely something that they can use to go forward. Vardy's still at the club. They've made a couple of other signings that I can't think of at the time. But generally, they have a decent team. They should be aiming for the top 10. Next up, we have the team that I probably have the most hope for this season. The way they've recruited, they've done a great job. I feel like they should be pushing for this top 10, top 8. I've got them in 8th place, and it is West Ham. Jack Wilshere, a great piece of business for the team. Diop, I don't know too much about him, but I think he's a top-class defender in the making. Felipe Anderson, they spent big. He should be doing really well. Hopefully that'll pay off for them. They also got Fabianski. I think that's a really underrated transfer because I know from his time at Arsenal, when he's been at Swansea as well, he's just a very solid keeper all around, something that they needed. And also Lucas Perez. I think he's a dark horse. Didn't get the chance at Arsenal. He's got the time to shine now at West Ham, and hopefully he can do so. I've got them in 8th. The final team before we get into the big 6, as we all like to say, I've actually got Everton down for 7th place. They haven't delivered too much recently. In recent years, Sam Allardyce couldn't do the job there, but they have recruited well. That Marco Silva could be the main man for them, taking them forward. That could be the biggest signing of them all. In terms of money, it was Richarlison, about 50 million. Whether it'll pay off, I don't know. He scored 2 in the opening weekend of the Prem, so it may well work out. Everybody else, it's been kind of decent for them. Wayne Rooney went out the club. Another couple of players have come in. So overall, I think they do have enough. 7th place, will they get it? I think so. On to the top 6. It kind of explains itself, really. It's just the order that we aren't too sure about. I've got Tottenham finishing in 6th. I know I'm an Arsenal fan. You can see it from the shirt I am wearing right now. But they haven't recruited. Whether they don't have confidence in Pochettino, which I can't see the Bald not having because he's done a really good job there, as hard as it is for me to admit. Or instead, the fact they're building their new stadium. They aren't actually going to be in it this year, but that could be draining the club financially. It happened with Arsenal. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens with Tottenham. And because of that, they are struggling. And because they haven't brought any players in, everyone else moves that little bit forward. If they don't, I think they might be a little bit left behind. In 5th, I've got Chelsea. Finally, Antonio Conte was kind of shown the door. I still think it was a bit unfair. He was there for a lot of pre-season, which was weird. But he did go in the end. Sarri came in from Napoli, brought in Jorginho, ended up keeping Hazard and Willian, at the moment at least, until every other window is shut, which has been massive business for them alone. Like, they can be practically new signings. Willian and Hazard are key parts of that team. They lost Courtois, but they brought in their new keeper. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. And at the same time, all those positives, the negative up front, what do they do? Morata just hasn't done it for me. I don't think he's done it for the fans either. They've realised that he's not really the main goal scorer that you need. They've got Giroud as well. It's another option, but still, they really do need that top level striker to progress. In 4th, I've got Manchester United. You're probably thinking, where is Arsenal? Why have you not mentioned them yet? They come a little bit later, to your shock, probably. But United, I've got them in 4th. They signed Diego Dalot and also Fred in midfield. Other than that, though, nothing really happened. They tried to go for centre-backs. Everyone seemed to turn them down. Boateng didn't work. Godin, I don't even know what happened there. They tried to do it. Godin just ended up getting a new contract out of it, so that was smart by them. And also Harry Maguire. It just didn't work for them. It looked a bit desperate towards the end, throwing money here, there and everywhere. They didn't get anything from it. Because of that, the defence is a little bit weak. They've still got De Gea in goal, which is just a brick wall there. But I don't think they've got enough to go for the title. Top 4 though, I'm pretty sure they'll get that. Third place, this is where my team are. Unai Emery, the new man in charge, he's come in and he has sorted out the bulk of the team. We've got Leno in goal, we've got Lichtsteiner at right back, Socrates in midfield and Lucas Torreira. He is my guy who I think is just going to shine this season. You just watch how he plays. I think it's going to work. He needs to kind of get his way of playing onto the team. It's going to take time. Arsenal may well start off slow. We lost to Man City. We may well lose to Chelsea this coming weekend, but by the end of the season, I think we will be going strong. There's a great atmosphere in the team as well. So just look out for Arsenal at the end of the season. I think it's really just going to be going up the whole entire time. The top two kind of explain themselves really. It's more or less going to be every single person's top two. Just what order, I don't really know. My order though, I have got Liverpool in second. Their signings have been great. From my list, I've got Keita, Alisson, Fabinho, Shaqiri as well. A great bit of business for around 10 to 15 million for a player of his quality who could probably make it into nearly everyone's team. The only negative for me, the defence still could do with a bit of work. Alisson will obviously help that out. And just on a lower note, Oxlade-Chamberlain, I feel really bad for him. He's basically out for the whole of this season just from that one injury last year. He's an ex-Gunner, of course, so I do feel really bad for him. Hopefully he kind of returns up to his top form because he was turning into a great player in the middle last year. Last but not least, we have Manchester City. This will be where we wrap it up. What can we say? From last season, they were the complete team. They hit the 100-point barrier for the first time ever in Premiership history. It's unheard of. Their team just plays slick football. Pep's just got them going great. The players they have, the tactics, the mentality there, it's very good. They're going to be extremely hard to beat. They have their bogey team in Liverpool. A few more teams could pop up this year. They did kind of dispose of Arsenal relatively quick, but as we all know, Emery's team are about 2 years behind when you think about it. Pep's been working on that team for 2 years, getting his own players and working his ways onto them. But amongst all that, I think they probably will end up winning the league. And that is that really. So that is my Premier League predictions for this year. We'll come back at the end of the season, have a little look at how we did, and just have a little review. So, thank you all for watching, guys. I hope you do all enjoy. And just quickly before I finish, Golden Boot, I'm going to go out and say Aubameyang and the player to watch, Ruben Neves. There we go, I said it. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you all on the next video.